How would you like a raise in your retirement income that is guaranteed and inflation adjusted for life? Delay claiming or taking Social Security as long as you can, no later than 70. Now, for every year you wait, it's an 8% raise. This is called delayed retirement credits, and it's a real thing. In this video, we will show you how to get there. There are key action steps to boost your retirement income forever. And as a bonus, we're going to give you tips if you can't delay that long and ways you can stretch it out as much as you can. And folks, we're talking about longevity and income pressures and a guaranteed inflation-adjusted payout or annuity. This is Social Security at its best, a retirement paycheck till death, inflation-adjusted. Plus your benefits, if delayed even a year, will still rise with inflation through cost of living adjustments. Now, here are options for how to do this. First, keep working. Work longer. Even a partial year helps. Work part-time. And you can coordinate this with your spouse or partner about them working full-time or part-time or when they claim Social Security. And the key is to try to claim Social Security at least until what is called full retirement age, which for most people is age 67. Now, the older and perhaps lower income earner of a couple generally should claim first. Of course, there are exceptions based on health and other assets or income sources. You're watching What's Next with Money, a program with smart insights to guide your financial decisions. Let's talk about bridging strategies. This is all about income to claim Social Security using and leaning on various income sources. And here they are. Pension, your spouse or partner's Social Security, as we just mentioned. Rental income, perhaps an accessory dwelling unit in the backyard, an ADU. Annuities. Business income. What if you own a business and you're going to sell it to other workers or somebody in the community? And it could be a buyout, and you can time this buyout just before your higher Social Security will kick in. It's bridging income until you take Social Security. And then, of course, the big one, defined contribution withdrawals. And what are those? 401k, 403b, 457, traditional IRAs, even Roth IRAs. And we now can take required minimum distributions from those 401ks and traditional IRAs. The new age is been pushed later. It's age 73. And then in 2033, it's going to be age 75. But we can take RMDs really any time after age 59 and a half. And there's no penalty for that withdrawal. I call it an OMD, not an RMD, an optional minimum distribution to help you bridge to claim Social Security later. So those kind of pullouts of those defined contribution plans, this is a good time to do it before you claim Social Security, so you can make that Social Security check be bigger. And then another source are taxable brokerage accounts, where it's not in a retirement container, and this is where you might trade stocks or mutual funds. Now, if you're divorced or widowed, that person can file for a Social Security survivor's benefit and their various eligibility requirements. We'll have a link to ssa.gov, which is the Social Security website. Now let's talk about spending reductions. Not only do you want to boost income as you plan retirement and try to claim Social Security later, a good way to get you there is to reduce spending. And here are great ways to do that. If you can or strive to have a paid-off house at that time in your life. There are co-housing opportunities where you can kind of do group living and sharing of expenses with others. That might be part of your senior housing plan. You can live in a less expensive area. You can live with other family members. You could be in an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, with a family out front in the main house. You hopefully will stay off consumer credit and have credit cards managed properly and paid off monthly. And of course, To save in expenses, avoid all predatory lending. And use that avalanche or the snowball method to pay down debt. Avalanche method is tackling those debts with a higher interest rate and you pay beyond the minimum payment and then move to the next one. Or Dave Ramsey's favorite, the snowball method, where you take with snowball the smallest balance and you work till the larger ones. This builds momentum, and these techniques can even apply to mortgage debt to get that paid off house, especially while you're working full time. The big news in my research, and I was shocked at this, only 7% of women in America and 5% of men actually delay claiming Social Security or waiting until age 70. Imagine that. So in essence, this video is about a seldom used but powerful retirement secret. And it is a secret I am living and practicing. But why? Well, first, there's a lack of understanding of the notion of bridging strategies for income until you claim, and how powerful these 8% raises are from age 62, which is early retirement, until age 70. And yes, folks, there is a break-even age at which you really benefit from claiming later than earlier. Now, I used to hear, as the Social Security retirement age was adjusted over time to age 67, it was 82. But a recent Wall Street Journal article quoted David Blanchett, head of PGIM Retirement Research, says the break-even is now 85 of when you claim at 70 to where you get it all really paid back and it works in your favor. Now, Social Security and Medicare key ages and rules. These are important as you plan for your retirement. We're just going to review them briefly. The Medicare age is age 65. It's different than the Social Security ages. In Social Security, early retirement age, the first time you can gain a retirement benefit from Social Security, if you're not disabled, is age 62. And that age 62 benefit, that check that comes in from Social Security, is nearly 70% less than if you claimed at age 70. Full retirement age for most folks now is age 67. You're born 1960 or later. And of course, the cool thing about the full retirement age, there is no tax penalty for working while taking Social Security at that time or later. But there is if you claim Social Security before the full retirement age, age 67, and work up to a certain amount of money. Now, more on that later. Now, if you take Social Security early, say age 62, you're facing a 30% cut in your check compared to that age 67 full retirement age. So you can see this math really works out. It's incentivized for you to claim later. Now, here's a pro tip. Now, what happens when you actually delay claiming and you're going to claim with Social Security after the full retirement age, after age 67, even if it's like 6 months later or a year later, let's say to age 68. And when you apply to Social Security, what happens? Now, once you file for Social Security beyond that full retirement age, and I was shocked at this, the Social Security officials are going to say, hey, I want to ask you a question. I want to give you the option of receiving up to 6 months of retroactive benefits of Social Security in a lump sum. But folks, there's a downside to this. If you take that optional lump sum, which is generally presented every time you claim later than your full retirement age, it's going to lower that paycheck. It's almost like if you take that money in a lump sum, it's almost like you dialed back your bridging to waiting to claim strategy. You've lost kind of 6 months of that effort about that 8% pay raise annually. Now, can you or should you resist this offer? I say yes, try to resist. But if your lifespan now is shorter or you have a big need, then you might consider that offer. But there is another downside. That lump sum of that 6-month money come to you in one chunk is subject to income taxes all at once. Now, if you're getting value from this video, be sure to hit that subscribe and smash that like button. This moves our content to more folks, and we appreciate you sharing the program as well. Now, who and why would taking Social Security early make sense? This is basically going against that later claiming strategy. These are the cases, and there are real ones, where you can't wait. And here's some examples. You or your spouse are in ill health, and one of you may have a shortened life expectancy. You might be paying for expensive medications not covered by insurance. You may be in a caregiving situation and you need that income. You could be funding expensive long-term care premiums. And you may want to now dedicate the income from Social Security to fund a reoccurring expense like a mortgage if you still have one, or a second home. And this is really if you have other assets or income sources. Now here's some other early claiming of Social Security trade-offs. Just remember, if you exit the workforce early, say between ages 62 and 64, and are on your employer-based health insurance program, you're getting your health insurance from where you work. Folks, you're under age 65. You're under the age of Medicare, and you will need health insurance or health insurance through a spouse or a health exchange like Obamacare. Now, if you claim early before full retirement age, which is 67, and want to still work, that work income and Social Security combined can push you into a higher income tax bracket. Even more concerning is the cut in Social Security benefits when you have claimed Social Security before full retirement age and you're working. And for every dollar earned above Social Security earning limitation, which as of this taping is $21,400, every dollar you earn over that amount means that you're going to get a cut in your Social Security check. You're going to lose $1 for every $2 earned. Now, all this kind of early earnings work penalty when you are taking Social Security and working, it eventually goes away once you reach full retirement age. And of course, if you wait to claim until full retirement age or later and still want to work, there's no penalty at all. So a big trade-off to consider is that claiming early Social Security income pre-age 65, which is Medicare, and getting health coverage from a non-work source that you might have to pay out of pocket, that is an expense, a higher expense for claiming early beyond the 8% per year reduction in that Social Security check. And back to caregiving. Say you're part of a sibling group and you live near, for example, your dad who needs caregiving. If you are the logical one to help and want to do it, but it means retiring early, taking Social Security early, could you work out a signed written agreement with your brothers or sisters to pay you supplemental earnings that you gave up when you were working, or subsidize the difference between the early Social Security you might claim and full retirement age, or help maybe cover your health insurance since you've given that up from your workplace? And some cases, and this does happen, and certified financial planner professionals can help you work this out, or lawyers, you may negotiate a bigger portion of the ultimate estate proceeds because of your income and expense sacrifices. Again, we still want the higher earning spouse to try to delay claiming, but that may not be possible given their health condition and expenses. And then you might say, okay, Brent, this is all interesting. I get the idea. Delay if you can. It's a bigger lifetime paycheck, inflation adjusted. But come on. Will Social Security really be there for me? Well, Social Security started in 1935, and when it did, the life expectancy was 61 years old. And according to the Wall Street Journal in 2023, if that retirement age that was pegged back in 1935 were in line with life expectancy and became the new full retirement age, that age would be 80. It would be 80 now. So that's a quick look at the past. But what about that future? And we cover future trends here on this What's Next with Money channel. Will Social Security even be here if it is slated to have a reduction in benefits if Congress doesn't act? Well, the main thing we're talking about is the Retirement Trust Fund, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund, which pays benefits to retired workers, their spouses, and children and survivors of deceased workers. They should be able to pay full benefits until 2033. But at that time, unless Congress acts, that Social Security check you would receive as income will only be 70% of what it is now. But remember what Winston Churchill said about Americans. We can always count on Americans to do the right thing, but only after they've tried and exhausted every other possibility. Well, now we have actually a few candidates running for president that are talking about Social Security reform and to address that 2033 gap. Often it will be done, the way this is going to work out, it'll be done by an expert bipartisan commission. And that's what actually got us to the full retirement age of 67. And that happened in the Reagan administration, and it worked great. It saved Social Security. The thing is about Social Security, it is one of the best managed and most politically supported programs in the government ever. And I think it will get fixed. And there are many well-researched options to accomplish this. Recently, I saw an article about the leadership of the Social Security Administration. And the current acting Social Security Commissioner is somebody I know. She's a social policy expert. And she knows all the well-researched options to accomplish various types of Social Security reform to keep the trust fund healthy and long-lasting. The current president has nominated somebody else that I've met, the former governor of Maryland and mayor of Baltimore, who will take the reins. And this gentleman is really good about tough political choices, and I think we'll get on this issue with Congress and helping to create that bipartisan commission. So I know the two key players in this, and I know the attitude of Congress for wanting to keep Social Security healthy. Now, continuing with this future theme, there is something emerging among the Gen Z community called soft saving for retirement. And I just want to say, hey, Gen Zers, be careful. You may be leading the way with adopting a different kind of hybrid strategy for retirement and may be concerned about the future of Social Security, as I've just talked about, but I think it will get saved and reformed. But the Gen Zers have this soft saving for retirement, and it's about living in the moment with less emphasis on retiring early or not retiring at all, according to a study by the Prosperity Index funded by Intuit. Yet young folks in their 20s are best positioned to capture the real power of compound interest by saving at this stage, or at least to catch the full match, even with parental help. Instead of cutting expenses to boost savings, 73% of Gen Zers say they would rather have a better quality of life, which is like retire early or FIRE, financial independence, retire early. And we have a video on that. That's really a radical savings and a radical expense cutting formula. Now, that FIRE program is of less importance to Gen Z. And you can see our video called Retiring at 40, 5 Factors to Consider. It has a lot of great tips. That video will give more Social Security and retirement stretch ideas that you can use right now. So be sure to hit that subscribe and smash that like button, and be sure to check out many of our great videos related to this topic. I'm Brent Neiser, looking to see you next time on What's Next with Money.